2 years ago, before the work, this was a barren wasteland. Nothing had been grown here for 40 years. When the UN World Food Programme told the villagers that they were going to bring this land back as part of the Great Green Wall, they said it was impossible. But here we are in Africa in the desert at the northern edge of Senegal, and life has returned. The stakes couldn't be higher because when the soil washes away and land becomes a desert, then people leave. They head to the cities and places like this just fall apart, but thanks to the work of the villagers and the World Food Programme, using techniques and systems I'm going to tell you about in this video, the tides have changed and natural wealth is growing back and growing the livelihoods of the people here. Welcome to Senegal. I'm here during the rainy season to see the work of the Great Green Wall of Africa. My wife and I started in Dakar, a city of about 4 million people. It's the biggest city in Senegal. It's the westernmost point of the entire continent of Africa. I met with the World Food Programme there in Dakar to discuss our trip. So, then we drove with the World Food Programme. It was about a 7-hour drive through the Sahel. The ecosystem really changed a lot. In the southern part, the trees were larger, dispersed amongst the millet fields. As we drove north, the trees became smaller and smaller. This is late in the rainy season. This land is as green as it gets right now for the whole year. I've never seen this many grazing animals. The entire Sahel is like one big free-range pasture. So, we drove up to the point where it transitions to the Sahara Desert, which is the Senegal River. We're here at the Senegal River, which is the border between Senegal on this side and Mauritania on the other. When you look from space, you can actually see the lateral sand dunes of Mauritania where they hit the Senegal River. The Senegal River is really the divide between the Sahara and Sahel in many parts of the river. The Senegal River serves not only as the border between Senegal and Mauritania, and not only as the border between the Sahel and the Sahara, but if this river zone is vegetated, it could represent the first line of defense of the Great Green Wall of Africa. The Great Green Wall of Africa is a vision, Great Green Wall of Africa, the project to plant a barrier of trees across the entire width of the continent of Africa, from Senegal to Djibouti. The purpose of this Great Green Wall is to stop the southern expansion of the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert has expanded about 10% in the last 100 years. So, we have the Sahara Desert, then we have the Sahel, then we have the savanna, and then we have the rainforest. The design is to actually have a barrier of trees to stop the expansion of the desert southward. So, I'm here on the ground at the Great Green Wall to show how we can restore degraded landscapes, we can keep the Sahara at bay, create abundance, have people living here and thriving. Great Green Wall. At WFP we have planted and rehabilitated some 300,000 hectares of land over the past years. What you see here is 30 hectares out of those 300,000. This is a contribution to the Great Green Wall because the Great Green Wall is like a patchwork, a mosaic of forests that together create this wall that will protect the Sahel from being encroached by the Sahara Desert. We're working on degraded land and bringing it back to life. That takes a few stages. When we start with a soil like this one that we see right here, that is crusted, that is sun-baked, that cannot support any kind of life because it is literally hard as cement, there's no way seeds or any plants can actually take root here. We bring it back to life and we bring it back to production so that it can feed people and it can feed the communities, and communities can start thriving again. We need to create water harvesting structures that maintain the water on site. If we look at the soil the way it is right now, the water cannot stay here. So, it drains and it flows away. These half-moons are the first step in this rehabilitation process, in this soil buildup process. On this site here we have 7,500 half-moons, each of which has a 4-meter diameter. This takes one person to dig one half-moon per day. This site has been dug by a team of 150 people. So, how does the half-moon work? The rain basically comes here and we have put the half-moons on contour lines, which means the rain, when it falls to the ground, flows into this area here which is a little bit lower so that it retains the water, and we create this embankment that's a little bit higher up and makes sure the water doesn't overflow. It stays here and it feeds these plants. We're mainly using local species, like sorghum and millet, that actually has been domesticated here many thousands of years ago. So, it actually comes from the Sahel, and produces a maximum quantity of biomass as well, so they're perfect to rehabilitate the land while feeding the people at the same time. This is nothing new. We have not invented a technology here. The half-moon technology is actually an endogenous technology to the Sahel and has been forgotten over time. We have rescued it from the past. The sorghum that you can see behind us actually grew only with rainwater. Around 10 to 15% of water that will be caught here will enter the ground and will recharge the groundwater tables. That way, we actually achieve a balance of water. So, we are not depleting the water resources, but we're making sure that we keep enough water in the ground for future generations. Then we have another system that mainly consists of planting lines. We have horticulture beds where we can plant tomatoes, okra and so on. Here we have trenches where we have planted morina, pigeon pea, and we have planted also some okra that has grown wildly here. The idea here is that we have biomass trenches that will provide biomass as the system grows. In between these trenches we have planting pits, where we have planted fruit trees. We have guava, citrus. This is just a very first step in this pilot. We'll also be using other native species that will be planting in the pits that will drive the rejuvenation of the soil and the protection of the soil as the system starts growing into abundance and producing food and life for the people here. In its mature state, this system will look like a forest lines, that will be producing biomass and fruit, and we'll have other lines in between where we'll be producing horticulture vegetables. This is exactly the way nature works. We came across syntropic farming, which is a type of conservation agriculture that has been developed in Brazil based on global indigenous knowledge. In the whole world, many indigenous populations have a similar way, traditionally, to do agriculture that is different from conventional agriculture and which mimics forest dynamics. In the next step, we'll be growing trees here. If we look at the vastness of this area, here we can plant tens of thousands of trees into these structures. Villages. Now, this project was really interesting because the World Food Programme wanted to demonstrate how you could take the most devastated areas and turn them back into resilient, food-producing locations. They specifically placed their project on a very degraded landscape that had been taken down to bare compacted earth. This is actually the front line of the Great Green Wall of Africa. The Senegal River, at least for this region, that's where you're going to have your real, true dividing line between the Sahara and the Sahel. So, the work of the WFP is solving this problem directly, here, on the ground, with the Great Green Wall of Africa. The transformation here is not just ecological, it's social and economic as well. As the land regenerates, so do the opportunities for the people who live here. With renewed soil fertility, communities can grow food, rear livestock, and most importantly, stay in their homeland with dignity and purpose. One of the key principles behind this success is community ownership. The villagers themselves are not just laborers, they are leaders and innovators. They decide what to plant, how to manage the land, and how to distribute the harvest. This decentralized, people-first approach ensures that the system remains resilient and sustainable long after the initial aid or external involvement fades away. The World Food Programme works closely with local governments and traditional leaders to ensure cultural knowledge is respected and incorporated. The ancient practices, like half-moon digging and native seed planting, are enhanced by scientific tools like drone mapping, soil testing, and data-driven water retention analysis. It's a blend of old and new, tradition and technology, one that our channel Insane of Curiosity believes holds the key to regenerating vast landscapes all across the planet. And this isn't an isolated case. All across the Sahel, in countries like Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and Chad, similar projects are underway. Each one contributes a unique piece to the overall mosaic that is the Great Green Wall. From patch to patch, region to region, a connected band of life is beginning to stretch across the continent, visible even from space. But the Great Green Wall is more than just planting trees. It's about climate resilience, food security, poverty alleviation, and reversing decades of environmental degradation. This monumental effort has the potential to become the largest living structure on Earth, a wall not of concrete or steel, but of roots, leaves, and human cooperation. As we at Insane of Curiosity walk through these revitalized lands, speak with farmers, and witness the return of wildlife, we are reminded of one truth. Nature, when given the chance and the right support, heals. And in doing so, it heals us economically, spiritually, and ecologically. This is not just a story of Senegal. This is a story of possibility for the entire planet. In the face of desertification, food crises, and climate change, we see a model that works. It's slow, it's labor-intensive, and it requires commitment, but it works. And that's why we're here, to share these stories with you, to show what's possible, and to inspire action. Thank you for joining Insane of Curiosity in exploring the front lines of ecological restoration. Be sure to subscribe if you want to follow the journey of the Great Green Wall and other groundbreaking efforts happening around the world. Together, we can turn deserts green again. One seed, one community, one story at a time.